There you go. So I'm going to zoom in on one of those and see if you can tell me what you think the difference is. And I'll just give it a second and I'm just going to tell you. Nobody's going to guess. This minute. All right. So the difference is the paint. That's the key difference. You'll see on the motorcycle on the right, the one I ended up with, if you look carefully, you'll see a flame that's a matte flame on top of a metallic finish. And what that really did is it really kind of makes the bike very noticeable. People come over, check it out. So I achieved my goal. I wanted it to stand out. That was the goal I was looking for. I achieved it. And you're probably thinking, well, great, Ron, what's that got to do with us? We came to the session to learn something about helping us in demos and pre-sales. Well, the reason I bring this story up is because there's a very small difference between the two motorcycles, the one I ended up purchasing and the one the sales rep had recommended. And we call that difference 2%. It's just a small difference, but the outcome was big. It is definitely noticed more. If I go to the coffee shop or whatever, or the pub, someone will come by and check out the bike. And mainly because of the paint. That's the reason. So that brings us to the discussion about a little bit about, we've only got an hour together. We don't have a ton of time, but I'm going to help you as best I can to custom paint your presentations and demos. That's the idea. And give you a little introduction of what we do at 2WIN, but you will get some takeaways. We'll make sure you get a few takeaways today. So what does it take to win? So if I was to ask everyone in the room to raise their hand, and you can do that with this Zoom. If I asked you all to raise your hand if you thought you had the best product, or maybe there we go, there's a hand raise. If you thought you had the best product in the industry, I would hope all the hands would go up. How about one? So there we go. Grant believes it. Adam believes it. But here's the question. Have you ever lost a deal to an inferior product? Of course you have. We all have. It's unfortunate, but it happens. So is it really about the best product? So that's something called Livewire. That's the new electric Harley Davidson. The only problem with it is it doesn't make enough noise. That's my problem with it. But, does Harley have the best product? If there's a BMW owner in this audience, they're going to vehemently argue with that. But I can tell you that the last 18 months for Harley has been extremely good. They're doing very well. Not because they have the best product. It's about these types of things, and that's what Demo to Win is all about, is how do we work as a team? We provide proven tactics to SEs and AEs as well, and help you with avoiding mistakes. That's kind of the formula that we use to help you win. And it's based on this book, Demonstrating to Win, written by my good friend Bob Reefstall. And you can find that book, and there's other books on demos. Just don't pay attention to those. This is the one you want. It has all the correct techniques. And you can find that book on Amazon, and you can either get the book or the Kindle. Oh, and I did mean to ask, has anybody in the room been through the class demonstrating or Demo to Win? Has anybody in the room, just give me a hand raise if you've been through it. There. Okay. Fabanio, do I have it right? Am I saying it right? Probably not. Fabanio has been through it. Andrew had his hand up for a second. Great. So a couple of you been through it. So this is all gonna sound kind of familiar. But one of the chapters in the book talks about what's referred to, when I talked about those mistakes, it talks about, how do I put there it is. It talks about demo crimes, chapter 4. So it's an entertaining chapter. If you if you read it, you might say, oh my gosh, that happened to me yesterday, or I committed that crime before. We've all done it. So in order to kind of walk through some examples in our time together, I'm going to show you some demo crimes. These are videos. And these demo crimes, the reason we're going to look at them and give you some ideas around them, they're kind of interesting and entertaining for sure. But the real reason is, how do I avoid the crime? This is really about, how does this crime happen? What kind of impression does it leave with the client? And what can I do to avoid it? How do I get around it? And that's where some of the techniques come in. So in order to do this, you're going to be part of the selection committee. So this is great. You get to be on the other side today. You get to be the buyer. We're going to be the sellers. We have one of our actors is the author. He's the actor in one of the videos. We have a couple of us acting in some of these. Now, all these videos are completely imaginary. They would never happen in your company. This is a fictitious situation. So just remember that. And to have a little fun with it, we're going to play Guess the Crime. So you're going to be able to guess the crime when we're done. I'm going to ask you to chat in what you think that crime might have been. And I'll show you the crimes in a minute of what all the different crimes. So this first one, I'm going to give you a little quick setup. It's a sales rep, an AE, and an SE. The AE is on the phone with the customer, and then that AE is going to get off the phone and contact the SE. So let's see how that all goes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I know just the guy we can get for the demo. Okay, yeah, sounds good. Thanks. All right, let's see if Chad is available for Monday.
Hey, Hayden. What's up, man?
Hey, Chad, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Hope you are.
Yeah, good. Just got off the phone with Capital Industrial. Really great opportunity with them. Here's the catch. I need you out there on Monday for a demo. Are you available?
You mean this coming Monday?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, Monday. I know it's a short turnaround. I mean, can you make that work?
Jeez, man. I mean, I'm slammed this week. Dang. But I'm always happy to help. So I bet I can work it out. But can you give me a little bit more to focus on? What's the project all about?
Yeah, it's a huge operation. Easily a couple $100,000 opportunity here.
Yeah, I mean, I'm all about the number two, right? I want to help you out, but I mean, can you give me something to focus on? What do I need to show?
Yeah, just do what you normally do. Like you did that demo last week with Turner. Yeah, I think that's perfect.
Yeah, but you remember what happened last week at Turner? I mean, I spent all that time talking about wholesale distribution just to find out they don't even do that. God, I mean, can I at least have a phone call with them?
Yeah, no. I think this is a totally different situation here. I don't think they're not going to be willing to take a call with us anyway. And you know what, Chad? I got a call come in on the other line. I got to run. But if you don't just send me your travel information, I'll make all the arrangements. I'll take care of it. No problem. Are we good? Good for Monday?
All right, man. Sounds good. I'll see you there.
Here we go again.
So as I mentioned, it's completely fictitious. All right, does anybody want to give it a guess? Which crime on this list? Here's some of the crimes from the book.
I mean, obviously it goes without saying, do what you normally do. So
very good. Excellent.
Like terrible preparation, right? There's no focus. And so it's just not a recipe for success.
It is not. And of course it's exaggerated. So that's correct. She got it right. Jackie, I'm gonna screw up all these names.
It's simple, just Jackie, or you can call me Jacqui, whatever.
Like
Joe, whatever you want.
Okay, the English would be Jackie. Got it. So yes, it's do what you normally do. And the correcting fundamentals pretty straightforward. How do we avoid this crime? Well, we could chat with the client ahead of time, maybe before we have the demo. Discovery is an extremely important component, as I think I'm as they say, preaching to the choir here. We do also run a course on discovery called Discovery to Win. And that course we deliver to both AEs and SEs as a team. So that's a great way to kind of make that connection. Discovery to Win and Demo to Win are connected. And we use a tool called a win plan, and that's how we connect the two. So in this session, I wanted to give everyone an idea of what Demo to Win's all about if you haven't been through it. And, you can either go to your company and say, hey, this would be great to have, or you can also, as an individual, decide if you wanted to do it. And you can visit our website to find out more about that. But anyways, guiding principles, there's a foundation, and I'm going to talk about maybe an example or two. There's a technique that some of you, I'm sure, are aware of called tell, show, tell. We spend a lot of time on that technique in the workshop. We actually kind of dissect that to a great degree. Opening and closing, how I open and close my session is important to grab attention and to make sure my message gets across. And then I'll talk a little bit about next steps at the end. So guiding principles, there's one I want to talk about, I think, that is important, especially in today's environment. First of all, we have a decision team now, don't we? Do y'all have that now? The decision team, especially in these big deals. It's no longer an individual making a decision. It's the team, and it's the consensus. Everybody has to agree. Just takes longer. So that team is made up of different people. These are the different people. We call, we talk a lot in the workshop about some techniques around bridging, but I'm going to give you a couple ideas right out of the book. And I am hopefully sharing the right screen. It looks weird on my end. Okay. And hold on just a second. Sorry about that. A couple ideas from the book and because this does very much depend on who you're talking to in the room, right? So you have executive, you have management, operational people. So their reason for crossing the bridge, their reason to come across the bridge to meet you where you are is different. And it says on the right side what those reasons are, right? If you're operational, it's the impact on your job. If you're management, it's all about risk and productivity. And if you're an executive, it's about the strategic goal. So in your demonstration, you need to take them across that bridge. But one example for operational people is something we call today and tomorrow. So that's a little bit like, hey, let me show you this great solution. And by the way, you don't have to change anything you're doing today. We can take your exact same data. Let me show you how it looks in our product, just like your spreadsheet. It looks the same. But when you're ready, tomorrow we can flip a couple software switches and we can give you all this other great stuff. Today and tomorrow is actually about backing off all your capabilities for the operational people, because they get frightened really easy and then they don't want to cross the bridge. For an executive, a great technique is called end of the story first. And that's all about bringing your dashboard that you're going to show at the end of your demo to the front. Just bringing the dashboard to the front, saying, because who leaves the demo first? Typically, it's the executive that walks out, right, in the first 10, 15 minutes. So bring that dashboard to the front, talk about the outcome, and then for everyone else in the room, address how you got to that dashboard. So that's a couple quick techniques, end of the story first, and today and tomorrow, on how you can address different people in your audience. We then take all that and we put it in a tool called the value pyramid. So the value pyramid is kind of like, what do I say depending who I'm talking to? And these colors are significant because these colors are going to align to how you structure your demo. And that was one of the questions in here. So I am going to bring that up. One of the questions in the chat was, what about structure? So I'm just going to give you a quick view of it, but this is the Demo to Win structure. So the green is targeted towards executives, the yellow is targeted towards managers, and the blue is targeted towards operational people. And this is an illustration of a 45-minute demo, which a lot of us are faced with. So how I address different folks is based on, what I'm delivering and when I'm delivering it. The start of the meeting is kind of the lobby in a virtual meeting like this. So those of you who were here early, you heard some music and some things like that. So that's the start of the meeting. You also noticed that I was introduced in the meeting. I did not introduce myself. So that's done by your AE should be introducing you, and that's done up here in the green. So just kind of, hey, welcome everybody. I want to introduce Erin. We've gone to a lot of trouble to get Erin here. I don't know if you know about Erin, but man, she's spectacular. She's been a client just like you. She's been in this position. She's purchased this software. That's their job. That's the AE's job, not to show 23 slides about your company. That's not their job. Okay, so coming out of that, they introduce you, and then maybe you or that AE does an opening. Then you're going to show the software if you're an SE in the room. And then either you or the AE is going to close it out with some value, and then next steps and call to action. So that's how kind of the structure plays in to match the audience that connects to the pyramid I showed you. That's some of the 2 in guiding principles in like, I don't know, 8 minutes, whatever that was. In the workshop, we spend like the whole morning on that. Okay. Tell, show, tell. So you've heard this before. Tell them what you're going to show them, and tell them what you just told them. Tell them what you just showed them. That's what tell, show, tell is. And I'll kind of net it out and give you a couple techniques that you can take away today that I think might help you when showing software. Take a moment. Don't be in such a hurry to show the software. How many of you said, let's jump into the software? What's this jumping going on, by the way? Who's jumping? I'm not jumping. Let's jump into the software. We all say it, right? Let's jump in. Take a moment. Stop sharing if you need to. Have a place. Guilty. Have a place. Where's my freaking cursor? Stop sharing if you have to. Have a spot where you're now going to set a little context before you get into that screen. They're going to go, whoa, what's that? That's like way too much. So before you go in there, take a moment. So here's what we're going to do next. We're going to look at how you launch a project in the project management system. Now, I know your current situation is this. Your projects are backed up, you're using email, you can't keep track of anything. So let's take a moment and really think about the best way we can help you organize your projects. And I'm going to show you 3 things in the software. I'm going to show you this, this, and this. All right, let's go take a look. All right, and now I need to do that. Yeah. And now I bring up the software, and now I start showing the software. So we call this an opening tell. And that's the tell on the left. So really it's about setting context so that when you're in the show, when you're showing the software, they understand why. And a lot of us expect them to know, well, they're here in the demo, they should know why. Maybe. That's one of the problems. You need to make sure they understand why you're showing this to them. And another thing I'll share another idea with you, something called, if you've been doing this for a while, and if you've been with the same company showing the same thing for a while, you start to lose beginner's perspective. You don't realize you know so much. You have so much information in your head, you don't realize what you're showing might actually look pretty complex to them. So taking that moment ahead of time is a good thing to do. After you're done showing the software, correct. I was reading one of the comments. So when you're done showing the software, then we go to the closing tell. That's the why, that's the benefit. So I just showed you how our project management system will help you eliminate emails and help you consolidate conversations. What that's going to provide is better collaboration for the team. What do you think? Do you guys agree? Or how would you see that working in your company is probably a better way to ask the question. So that's how to do a tell, show, tell. Again, we spend like 2 hours on this in the workshop, but you get the idea. I wanted you to get the general idea. Why do this? Why does it matter? One is for clarity, so they understand what you're showing them. And the second reason is so they leave with the why. A demo is not about the how, everyone. A demo is about the why. Why should I buy this? That's what a demo is. POC is a different story. Post contract's a different story. After they sign, I'm happy to tell them all about how to use it after the signature. All right, we're gonna do another crime, have a little more fun. So I made some fun of the AE in the first crime. So now it's your turn, SEs. So here's a situation where Bob is the demonstrator. And Bob is demonstrating Microsoft Teams. That's just the example. And the client has a question. So let's see kind of what happens when the client asks the question.
So that's how easy it is to move a user from Skype for Business to Microsoft Teams. And so
Excuse me,
next-
Bob.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Sure, Aaron.
As you know, we have thousands of Skype for Business users. Some want to be able to meet with either solution for a while. Can they do that?
Yeah, I can show that. Give me a second. Where is that? I think it's under the org-wide settings here. No, it's under users. It's under users.
You know, that's okay, Bob. You can show us later.
No, I've got it. I just don't get asked that question a lot. But I've got it. Hang on. It's under here. It probably is under org-wide settings.
Try clicking on one of the Teams upgrade.
I could certainly do that. I don't think it's there. Let me go under team settings first. No.
Hey.
Maybe here.
You know, Bob, just do us a favor and click on the Teams upgrade.
Sure, why not? I'm not
Not a
finding it.
webinar, but yeah, go quick.
Let me click on Teams upgrade and, well, there it is. Great catch. It's under coexistence mode, and that'll do it for org-wide. It doesn't really answer your question, Aaron, about a single user. So let me see if I can, if you want, I can find it for a single user.
No.
You guys, you all hit all of them. So which one is it? Which crime is it?
Okay.
Any guesses there? Yes, correct. Grant. And Carrie, I think you're off mute. I don't know if you want to be. That's what, thank you, Carrie. So that's right. Blind leading the blind. Pretty painful, isn't it? And yeah, that's okay, Carrie. So and it's a little overacted, but that's part of the fun. Like Kevin said, I love where the prospect's telling them where to click. That is so great. But it's really to emphasize, and you did provide a lot of really great feedback in the chat. No, Bob, no, that's awesome. Just say yes. I couldn't agree more. This is one of the things that we all do is we pick this up, put it down, take your hand away, step away from the mouse, as they say. Please step away from the mouse, because that's how we get in trouble. No doubt about it. And that's how we get to rabbit holes. And these are great suggestions. Yes, park it for later. I do recommend if you're going to park it, write it down and make sure they know you're writing it down. Like, oh, let me take a note of this. Or maybe my AE is going to write that down and we're going to come back to you. We're going to provide a little video later to explain. But absolutely, that is the idea. No problem. Someone has to hop off, not a problem. One of the harder lessons to learn, some just want to answer. Yeah, so that's correct. And I'd say this, I'll give you one other quick tip about this is, it depends where you are in the demo. If you're early in the demo, yeah, sure, you're going to want to show. I mean, that's why they're there. So they ask a question, can you do this? Sure, I can show you that. But as you progress in the demo, you start to earn the right. So maybe the second time they ask, a little later, you say, yeah, sure, would you like to see it? And then don't touch the mouse, because they might go, no, you know what? That sounds great. I'm glad you can do that. And then as you get really down into the demo where they're really starting to love you, you're walking on water, that's where somebody here said, just say yes. Then you just say, absolutely, we can do that. So I call that stepping stones, just a little bit at a time as you progress through the demo, as you build credibility with your audience. And as I always like to say, credibility is built and earned. It is not by showing a bunch of slides about your company. Okay, opening and closing. So there's lots of different ways to open and close your demo. We call it an episode. So a 45-minute demo we refer to as an episode, like the episode of a streaming series. Like if you're watching Jack Ryan on Prime Video, that has multiple episodes, each about 44 minutes. So that's kind of the idea behind why we call it an episode. But these are the different components. As it says at the bottom, it's a long meeting. So how do I keep people engaged? And one of the ways is how I open and close the meeting is some techniques around engagement. You can use analogies, personal stories, case studies. Quick tip on case studies, break it in half, everybody. When you do a case study to open your demo, don't give them the solution in the beginning of the demo. Give them the problem the other client had, the case study that you're going to talk about. Give them the issue, and then say, and hang around to the end because I'm going to show you how they solved that problem by going with us. And then at the end, you place the quote from the customer and the results of the case study. So I always recommend breaking the case study in half. Discovery, insights, all different ways. And you can combine these different methods to make the opening and closing more creative. So I'll just call back. This was my opening, right? This was the way I did it. That's an example. So I used a personal story and the difference in the motorcycles. So think about, if you have something you're passionate about, that makes a good opening. You can also use more generic things. I have another one that's like if I have it would work with a Canadian audience, and I use it a lot with European audiences, is Formula One. Like if I do that here, by the way, I'm in Atlanta, they all stare at me like, what's that? So if I talk about Formula One, I talk about all the cars are exactly the same specification wise, and they all have one tank of gas, and they all have 3 sets of tires, 2 of which they can use during a race. Wait a second, how does somebody win? They all seem similar. Remind you of software? Software seems similar. You all seem similar. How do you win? Well, you win through strategy, tactics, and teamwork. And that's what Demo to Win's all about. That's another opening. That's just a quick, 20 seconds on how you can do an opening to engage your audience. And then you can use your opening to theme your presentation. You can kind of call back during your demo those different components and maybe talk about, the driver in the Formula One or the pit, and those can be different points in your demo. All right. So in this particular crime, we have it's an SE, I think, that's in this crime as well. And it's Bob again. And Bob's pretty excited about a few things that they've added to the software. And he's in front of the client, and he's going to talk a little bit about some of that. So let's see how this one goes.
That's an example of marketing campaigns, and in particular, how you can take the results from the campaign, the leads, and actually send them out mobile to their smartphones or their mobile devices out in the field, and even show them the
Bob,
6 closest.
So Bob, we don't have remote salespeople. That's not the way we operate at all. All of our sales reps are OEM reps that work virtually. So I mean, if we were to implement something like this, we'd end up having to declare them as employees and pay taxes on them. It won't work.
Really? Well, well, it comes with the software. Maybe in the future you might transition to that, or potentially you may end up changing your model. Anyway, it comes with the software. So why don't I just move on?
He is a great actor. He does a great deer in the headlights too. All right. Any thoughts on this one? Yeah, discovery is definitely part of this. That discovery would help solve the problem. Any ideas on the crime? It could be interpreted. That's it. Kevin's got it. I love this part of my solution. This was really about what Bob loves. And I kind of gave you a little hint in the setup when I gave you my opening tell. I said he's pretty excited about it. So yeah, that's either, and there's a couple crimes that are similar in the book. One of them's called I love this part of my solution, and that's where you pitched this a week ago and you close the deal. You're like, oh, well, let's talk about this again. Remote salespeople, this is the best. And then it backfires. What's also really interesting about that crime is the rabbit hole that opens up. That's what I find most fascinating, is by bringing it up, it just opened up this whole other set of problems for Bob as the presenter. There's a similar one called If You Think That's Cool. So that's kind of like where you're going along and you show something and they go, whoa, and they really like it. And you go, whoa, if you think that's cool, wait till you see this. And then you start going in another direction and then you end up in trouble again. So yes, it's the same correcting fundamental. Whoever said that is absolutely correct. That was Andrew. It is discovery. And I would say this about discovery, it's just becoming more and more important. It's always been important. I don't want to minimize that, but it's becoming more and more important for a couple different reasons for all of us in the room. And that's, I'm selling training, you're selling your solution. It doesn't matter. We're all out there and we want to try to help the customer meet their needs. So first of all, we got to understand them. But what's the other big problem we have now? Time. It's worse than ever. Now with this virtual environment, I guarantee you that almost half this room has a meeting right after this. Like as soon as we're done, you're like, boom, into the next meeting. Kayla's telling me she couldn't get a chance to eat lunch today. This is how, right? We're all doing it. It's like, do. It's nuts. So here's the deal. If I don't do discovery, how the hell can I get a demo done in 45 minutes? I can't show everything. Forget it. You don't have half a day anymore. You don't have a whole day. You got 45 minutes. Discovery is crucial. And what I would argue is that you almost want to flip your sales process. Used to be in the old days, we'd, do a quick, meet the client and then do the demo and then spend a ton of time on the demo and the proof and the negotiation. And the whole back end of the process was very heavy. We flipped it here in our company. We spend more time in the front. So if you use the 80-20 rule, 80% of your time in the front. Before you even do that demo, they already love you because you've spent a ton of time with them in the front. So, and it's also about building rapport and all those kinds of things. So I would say that just keep in mind, discovery is a huge help and for sales reps in the room and for your sales reps. It's also a way to win deals faster, even though you don't feel that way. Like, oh, I don't want to slow the deal down, do a whole big discovery. It takes a bunch of time. The truth is, in the end, you'll end up getting the deal quicker. You're investing in the front. So we're all big advocates of discovery. Highly recommend making sure that you're narrowed in, that you're focused on exactly what they want to see. Because remember, what you don't show wins the deal. And that's difficult for everyone in this room because we all love our stuff. Our stuff's the best. So that makes it tough. Okay, so with that, I'm going to go to next steps and then we'll take a pause. And if there's any discussion, that's great. I do want to mention, and this is an example from someone that attended our program. We offered virtual and on-site. Actually, this week I did an on-site in Atlanta. That was pretty exciting. Had everybody together. Next week I'm going to San Francisco. So it is starting to open up. This was by far the best sales training I've been a part of. Clear, actionable, consistent, and real. I felt like the framework and skills we learned are applicable in any situation. So that's a little quote from someone who has taken the training. That's also my value close for my session. So again, what I talked about earlier about the opening and the closing, I'm basically using the techniques today. And because we all use these techniques at 2Win, it helps us become successful. That way I could afford a new Harley. So that's my new Harley. That is a Harley CVO custom vehicle. They build very few of these every year. It's a 2013. And here are your next steps. So check out the book. We talked about a few crimes. You want to really, I'm not sharing. Is that correct? Someone said I'm not sharing.
Yep.
It is correct.
Was that the whole time or did that just happen? Oh, I remember when. Yeah. Thank you. Thanks for letting me know. There it is. Okay. One more time. One more time with feeling. All right. So that's the new Harley. Thanks for letting me know. That's not for a while. Oh, that's even better. So here's the next steps. That's great. Check out the book, Avoid the Crimes. This whole concept of tell, show, tell, you know, that whole idea of pausing, think about that. And, I didn't want to do that. Well, let's move that out of the way. A little bit of this too is about the story around what you're showing. Less about what you're showing and more about the story and how it applies to them. And I'm sure a lot of you are doing that. So if you can do that, it creates more of an experience for the audience by telling a story. So back to my earlier comment, I know everyone has has a meeting right after this more than likely. So I thought I would kind of wrap it a few minutes early. And then if there was any questions or comments or anybody wanted to chat about anything, and I'm just going to go through and look at some of these.
Well, on behalf of PSC Canada, Ron, thank you so much for joining us. This was a very entertaining presentation. We had some good laughs and I loved everyone's contributions in the chat. Are there any questions that we'd like to open up to Ron as we end off our meeting today? I have a question, Ron, in terms of what do you think are the most frequented demo crimes, if you had to give us anecdotal evidence on this?
A form of the so what crime. So the so what crime is often talked about. The so what crime is, and I wouldn't say not in its purest sense, in its purest sense, it's absence of context and benefits. You know, you're just showing something and they don't know why. I don't think that that's necessarily something most experienced SEs commit, but I would say the placement of the context and benefits is more typical. So maybe better said, I think it's listed as a crime. Instead of tell, show, tell, we call it show, tell, tell. You basically jump in the software, you're showing it to them, you're giving them the context and benefits while you're in the software. The challenge is the minute you put the software up, they stopped listening. And this is something that it's hard for us to adjust to, right? We don't realize the minute we share that screen and the software's on the screen, they're like, what's that button? What's that? Oh, what's that do? So that's where I think we lose them often. And the other kind of crime is not parsing out your demo into small pieces. Just demoing like for 40 minutes nonstop. That doesn't work too good either.
Any
I
other
have a-
questions for Ron?
oh,
Perfect.
I actually do have a question, Ron. It's Andrew. I did this, I think it was a 3 or 4 day course with you guys back in, I guess it'd be 2017 now. I'm just
Okay.
wondering, so 2 parts. First of all, has the whole demo to win kind of philosophy changed a lot since I would have done it back then? Or would it, because a lot of the stuff I see today is very familiar and I still use it to this day. It's very, I mean, to everybody on the phone who hasn't done this, I could not recommend it enough. It's really turned, you know, I was at the beginning of my SC kind of journey or whatever when I was introduced to it, and we did it as a team when I was living in London, and it was, you know, like I say, it's to this day I use it every single day in some way, shape, or form for sure. But has it evolved? Has it changed? Or is it
A couple things have changed. One of the big changes is the format in which it's delivered. I mean, we deliver it virtually now. There's a couple different formats. We deliver it either kind of a, you do pre-learning, you learn everything through video, and then we coach you in 2 separate sessions in teams of 4. That's like one method. The others we call masterclass, where if you have 10 or more people, we then put you all in a virtual room like this. We do breakout sessions, and we do that over a 4-day period, 2 hours a day. So there's different formats now to learn it, and we still do on-site as well.
right? So, which leads me to my second question, actually. But sorry to take your time, guys. Everybody else, I'm sure everybody has a question. But how much has it changed since the days of this?
Yeah. So
ridiculousness?
yeah. So
not your course, but our job. You know, I mean, I know how much has changed. But like it's you know, one of the things I find quite interesting is the fact that behind you have your Harley jacket and stuff, and then lots of people in my company, you know, have things that sort of says something about themselves behind them. Some people have those horrible blurred background where their face disappears when they move around. I never understand that. Yeah. And I you know, there's really different ways to do things. Whether you want to talk about yourself or you want to talk about software, whether you turn your camera off or on.
Those are all things that have been added to the course. Everything you're talking about is exactly what we've added. Yes. So we've
really
added a lot of for the virtual engagement. And like, for example, yesterday I did an on-site workshop. However, there were 4 teams in this workshop. We put them in teams, but 2 of the teams left the room and demoed from the other room. And 2 of them demoed as if they were on site. So we are doing things like that to really kind of help coach on those, because we coach like annotation. I think you saw me use the focus, things like that. What am I doing in the frame? Am I using my hands? How am I positioned? How much is up here? How much is below here? Correct. What's behind me? Yes, that's all things that are involved in the course. And we've also, Andrew, expanded the curriculum. So you'll see it says, ask me about storytelling behind me, you know, storytelling, discovery. We have something called Winning with Executives coming out this month. So we've expanded the curriculum beyond just demos.
Very cool. Thanks very much, Ron.
Sure.
Any other questions for Ron before we close off our event today?
And then, Kayla, I do want to give one other kind of a combination comment about your question about what are the most common things.
Sure.
These are related. One is don't go over. Be done early. This can sometimes just win you the deal just because you were done early. Like, oh, I love these people. They're done. So just be careful. And what's related to that is less is more. If you can provide 2 or 3 really valuable things for that client in that meeting, that's better than trying to give them 10. The problem is we believe in our heads, which is normal, we believe the more we show, the more value there is. And the truth is the more we show, the less they remember. So I would say, and those two things are connected. I can't end early if I'm trying to stuff 10 pounds of apples in a 5-pound bag. Even I can't do it. So it's both of those things together, I think, are super important. And that is, I'm seeing far too often where people are running over, and that's a big crime.
That's great. Well, again, on behalf of myself, Aaron, Amin, and the entire PSC Canada chapter, thank you so much for joining us. This, as I mentioned, was very entertaining. I also learned a ton. And Aaron Baker and myself were talking behind the scenes about how we can incorporate this type of detail in our revenue kickoff in November. So really looking forward to it and further sessions with To Win and the PSC chapter. With the chapter as a whole, look out for further announcements for events, guys. We're looking to plan an in-person event, our very first one, with keeping in mind all the local restrictions on the East Coast and the West Coast. We're looking to make that happen soon. So stay tuned for more information on that. And we're really looking forward to seeing you then. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks,
Have a great
everybody.
day. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.